Hey everyone, can you hear me? Awesome, how are we? We doing good? All right, so I noticed a lot of people are not from Austin, Texas, so I need a ye. When I say ye, you say ha, right? Ye? Ha. There we go. Awesome, so I'm super excited to be here with you today and to share with you about a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is how to build unstoppable cross-functional partnerships. All right, so I felt like I was taking myself way too seriously with that headshot. So here's a more realistic representation of who I am, flying down the slopes at 50. You find me yelling, "Let's go," all the time. I love energy, and I've never had a cup of coffee, so it's all organic energy. And you might be wondering now more than ever why you should pay attention to me and why I'm a credible source of information. Flying down the slopes at 50, yelling yeehaw and let's go. I spent almost a decade in tech. I've worked in small companies, startups where there's only a few employees, and then large enterprises with thousands of employees as well. And I like to think that a lot of the success I've experienced today as a product marketer is all because of the value I place on the cross-functional partnerships. So let's go ahead and talk about what today is going to entail. So first, we're going to go ahead and define what is an unstoppable cross-functional partnership. We're going to go ahead and talk about how you can build these partnerships and actions you can take in the next 30, 60, and 90 days to make these partnerships come to life. And we're going to go from theory and we're going to bring it down to practical examples as well. So by raise of hands, who here loves GIFs or GIFs? Yes? That's very controversial. I'm still trying to make friends up here. We can go with GIFs. GIFs is cool. There's going to be a lot of them. So before we dive into what cross-functional partnerships are and what makes them unstoppable, let's talk about the benefits. And what I mean by benefits is answering the question that we all think when we're evaluating whether we should invest our time in something, which is, what's in it for me? And what's in it for you is an increased chance for success and impact with the initiatives that you're leading. And subsequently, impact for the organization that you're a part of. And subsequently, opportunity for growth in your career. When you drive more successful initiatives and you impact your organization, it's interesting to see the opportunities that are unlocked for your own career growth. And this is all possible because unstoppable cross-functional partnerships, they provide you with a sharpened understanding of the business as a whole. As a result, you can develop higher impact strategies. And you can go ahead and tap into experts across the organization to help you have more informed positions. It also helps you, and it is these partnerships and people that you can align with, help you to get prioritization of the resources that you need to drive success for your initiatives. That also helps to streamline execution. And all the while, you're building a reputation for being a cross-functional collaborator, which is not a bad characteristic to be thought of. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what the definition of unstoppable cross-functional partnerships is. It is not a mystery, y'all. I like to think of it as being very straightforward. I think of it almost like DNA. I think there are two major characteristics with the sub-characteristics you can see here. The two main characteristics are deep trust and then your ability to deliver the high-impact results your stakeholders are counting on you to deliver. And within the deep trust and those results is expertise, it's diligence, it's accountability, it's communication, it's timeliness, and it's advocacy. I think that we've all heard these words throughout other presentations and conversations during yesterday's session as well. So let's go ahead and dive into each of these in more detail. So the first core characteristic, expertise. This is what expertise looks like, y'all. Jenga. Okay. Stakeholders count on your unique skill set as a product marketer. That is where they don't have the unique skill set. They are very skilled in other areas, and we lean on their expertise. But when it comes to product marketing, they lean on you. So be the expert in product marketing. Bring a point of view to the table. Recall on your prior experiences that you've had as a product marketer to inform the situation you might be in that's similar. Create guardrails around where you can add value, right? Help your stakeholders understand, hey, product marketing, pricing, packaging, we can help. Messaging, we can help. Competitive intelligence, we can help. The list goes on. We're all aware of it, right? Raise visibility around implications to decisions that are being made, right? This might be a decision that another stakeholder is making that impacts product marketing. It might be a decision that they're making that impacts another department that you're aware of because of your cross-functional purview as a product marketer. Take ownership over your area of responsibility. Y'all, you're in product marketing, you know where you can add value, raise your hand. Pricing, packaging, that's me, I got it, right? Stakeholders want to see you step up to the plate and contribute your expertise. And lastly, bring the playbook. They're counting on you to show up with the clear path to success for a specific area of an initiative. It's not all straightforward, but the general process they're counting on for you to gather or know. All right, moving on to the second core characteristic, diligence. Your level of thoughtfulness for each initiative and challenge sets the bar for the level of confidence that your stakeholders can have in you. So be diligent. Do your research. I like to think of the research almost as this little GIF, right? You want to go ahead and evaluate the multiple different paths and angles to each different decision and challenge that you're making or facing. When we submit or share work with stakeholders, what happens? Well, a lot of times they poke holes in your work. Anticipate that. Poke holes in your own work on behalf of their considerations that you're anticipating. Get input from other stakeholders, right? If your work is going to impact them, understand how and account for that. Slow down and produce high-quality work. There is a rush to complete and deliver everything. It's never gone away in every company and every initiative that I've worked at and with. And lastly, always be prepared with a contingency plan. Diligence is not just about thinking through that immediate next step. It's about thinking 2 steps ahead. So if you're going to market and you need to drive adoption, well, maybe the first step is scaled outreach. What's plan B? Plan A doesn't always work. Maybe plan B is direct outreach, right? Maybe plan C is using specific deliverables within specific functions of the business, maybe business reviews and customer success, to act as a forcing function for adoption. Again, contingency plans, y'all. All right, third core characteristic. You're probably wondering, why is there an adorable GIF with a bunch of cats being herded? Okay, I'm gonna come full circle. Accountability, y'all. Give your stakeholders the peace of mind that you will deliver on your commitments. Allow them to spend their valuable energy where their area of focus is, instead of herding cats. That's what it feels like. I know we're all very familiar with that feeling as product marketers. Your stakeholders, they have that feeling as well. So hold yourself accountable. Clearly define areas of ownership where that accountability can be defined by. Identify the dependencies and proper sequencing for your initiatives. And that is to help you put yourself in a position to be able to hold yourself accountable. And have those clear target timelines, right? You need to understand dependencies and proper sequencing to do that. And then communicate what accountable looks like, which is, here's my goal. Here's what you can expect from me. If there are blockers, address them quickly. Your stakeholders want to know that you are on it, so be on it. And track and read out on your progress consistently. So if you're working on a specific deliverable and it's in draft, let your stakeholders know who are counting on that you're working on it. There's no such thing as over-communicating, which we'll get into in just a bit here. And lastly, show up in this fashion consistently. It's not about 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year, 1 initiative. It is about consistency and being accountable. Communication. This is how I feel sometimes yelling, let's go, by the way. If you leave your stakeholders wondering, y'all, they are going to wonder. They are going to wonder all sorts of things. Is this deliverable on track? Have they considered this dependency? Are we still pacing overall as a group for the launch timeline? Don't let them wonder. Be a clear and active communicator. Set expectations around target timelines. Choose optimal formats based on the complexity of a topic to discuss, right? That could be email, it could be Slack, it could be in person. You choose, and make sure that you use that format for communicating well. And champion topics to resolution. Sometimes it's not just about raising a topic for conversation. Sometimes it's being about that accountable stakeholder to communicate the topic to completion and support the success of the initiative. And then enable stakeholders to check your progress. I think that we oftentimes think of communication as an output. We think of communication as sending a Slack or sending an email, instead of enabling our stakeholders at scale to communicate and understand the progress, right? Maybe you have a spreadsheet. I don't have a spreadsheet where I track the status of all my deliverables. I tell my stakeholders, I say, if you're ever wondering what the status of something is, here's your answer. I point them back to that consistently, so it's a shared common language. Communication is not always an unscalable output. Sometimes it's a scalable tool for your stakeholders to use. Be clear with your ask. If you need something, ask for it. If you need something complete by a specific date, give someone a deadline. That's okay. Communication is not just about what someone else needs, it's about what you need as well. All right, this is my second favorite GIF in the whole presentation because this penguin is adorable, y'all. Timeliness. Look how timely this penguin looks. Okay, act with a sense of urgency. It is one of the most tangible signals of respect that you can provide stakeholders. I want a full stop here. Acting with urgency does not mean compromising your priorities. You can act with a sense of urgency without taking an action that your stakeholder is necessarily asking for. But you want to show them that what they're communicating with you or what they need is important by addressing it. So be timely with your interaction with stakeholders. Carry a sense of urgency into those interactions. Identify what deserves your immediate attention and what doesn't. Be on the lookout for when you might be a bottleneck and resolve it. Scan your inboxes for top priority topics that require input. Notice how I said scan. It does not mean respond to everything or address everything. It's just scanning, right? So you can understand whether you are the bottleneck or if there are top priority dependencies that you're at the root of. Ask stakeholders for their target timelines. Why would you want to do this? Well, it's so that you could be timely. You need to know what time boxes you're fitting within, and then contribute far in advance of those deadlines. And this is my favorite GIF. Advocacy. Think in terms of one team, one dream. Think about how you can represent your stakeholders' best interests in every interaction that you have. It multiplies everyone's efforts, and it builds trust. And you can be an advocate by, first and foremost, understanding the overall scope of an initiative. You need to understand what to be listening for. You can represent these initiatives versus just your area of focus in every single meeting and interaction that you have, right? Let's say it's customer success or global services. That is not product marketing, but you know a lot about those functions. And if you're in a meeting where one of those topics is discussed that's pertinent to the initiative you're all partnering up on, that's an opportunity for you to represent that stakeholder because you had a conversation with them a week ago about their focus and direction. Okay, bring useful information back to stakeholders. Again, you are hearing a lot in the meetings that you have, and interaction and content that you review. Point out where you think their attention should be if they're not already aware of it. And be on the lookout for relationships that you can help be the bridge into for your stakeholders. Especially at larger organizations, there are a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that don't know each other. If you know someone that can be of help to a stakeholder successfully accomplishing their goal, make a connection. I think the most important point on this slide, everyone look, I was told I had a laser pointer. There it is. How cool. Road shows, for-year initiatives, and the opportunity to showcase stakeholder contributions. As product marketers, we are the ones who oftentimes get up on stage and say, look at all this amazing work, look at what we did, woo! You should think of yourself as a cheerleader. You should not be in that presentation where all the celebration is around who contributed. Like, trust me, it is not missed upon anyone that you are a part of it. You're delivering the message. Showcase everyone's work. Be the cheerleader for them. It builds trust, and they deserve it. Okay. Now, there's some ongoing considerations that you should have for each of your stakeholders and the partnerships. Stakeholders are just people. We get caught up in this professional whirlwind and context, and we're just people at the end of the day. You need to understand how best to interact with them. What are they motivated by? How are they measured for success? What are their top priorities? At a more granular level, take note of their personality types. Okay? Take note of their working styles and strategic focuses and KPIs and competing priorities and professional and personal goals. You might have stakeholders who love decks. They love the high-level vision. You might have stakeholders who love long strategic documents. You might have stakeholders that are super cut to the chase. You might have stakeholders who like to really get into the vision and are verbose. Take note of these things so you could show up in a catered fashion for each of your interactions. Again, you can't please everyone, but you can certainly understand how to best interact with people. All right, so we talked a lot in theory at that 1,000-foot level. Let's bring it back down to earth with some practical examples. I have 16 examples. If anyone got a little nervous with that number, it's okay. We're going to do it lightning round format. We're going to keep it quick. And some of these might seem obvious. That's because some of this is not rocket science. And some of these might not be obvious, and that's okay. If you have questions around any of these, connect with me afterwards. I'd be happy to chat through them. So, first, be a proponent and active contributor to the planning process for product development. If you just take what is handed to you, what is thrown over the fence, that is where you will be seen as able to add value in the partnership. Be a part of the planning process and show that you're invested in the strategy and vision that's leading to what is being brought to market. Again, bring those insights that we've heard a lot about in yesterday's session to the table. Consult different departments on your vision, how you plan to accomplish a goal, and invite their participation. Y'all, there are so many blind spots that we have going into every initiative. They can be taken right off if you were to just ask someone to give their feedback on your vision. It also builds ownership. Host a roundtable session about what is or is not working in a specific market segment or product portfolio. Recently, we had a roundtable session where we sat down with the SMB and mid-market segment sellers and heard a lot of feedback around where they perceive opportunities to evolve our product to be more competitive. We asked the VP to elect the DVPs that they wanted to be a part of this session. They went ahead and elected a star seller from their team, and we sat down, asked questions, took notes, reported back findings, and circulated the organization, insights throughout the organization. Set up reminders for every little promise you make so that you can prevent yourself from ever dropping the ball. This is, I think, one of the most important ones out of the 16. I read this book one time. It was Getting Things Done. I don't remember who it was by, but there was one thing that I took away from it, which is put information in trusted systems, not in your head. Set a reminder on Slack, Asana, whatever you use. Don't drop the ball. Send stakeholder notes from a meeting you attend with something you thought they would find valuable. Create clear agendas and ensure that there's alignment on next steps and corresponding ownership. And this might seem like the basics, y'all, but this is how you drive effective partnerships, initiatives, and show that you value everyone's time and contribution. Set up time with your stakeholders to think bigger picture for your aligned areas of focus. Show them that you can contribute to the strategy and the vision, and that you're a partner. Shout from the rooftops internally about the invaluable contributions from your stakeholders upon launching a product or initiative. We touched on that earlier, y'all. I can't reinforce that enough. All right, second set, here we go. Be enthusiastic. Oh, energy is contagious. If you're not feeling it, no one's gonna be feeling it. So be enthusiastic about what you're partnering up with your stakeholders on. Get them fired up. Ask your stakeholders what you can do to help and contribute towards a specific task. Imagine if your stakeholder sent you a message and he said, hey, I just got started on this. You said, cool. Versus, hey, I just got started on this. And you responded with, that's awesome. What can I do to be of help? Right? Always be on the lookout for how to add value. Provide stakeholders with visibility into the weekly readout that you might already be providing your team or management. Show them that you want to give them as much line of sight as possible into where your priorities are. All right, facilitate post-mortem discussion amongst your stakeholders to continue identifying ways to partner more closely together. Again, always iterating and placing a focus on how to be effective and drive impact. Thoroughly document complex topics that stakeholders might need to reference at a later point in time. Take things out of your head, put it into scalable formats. Acknowledge receipt of communication, even if you won't get back to the stakeholder immediately. How many times have we gotten an email, we looked at it and we're like, whew, yeah, I'm not looking at that till tomorrow, right? You don't have to go ahead and address it or take the action they're asking for, but let them know that you got it. Hey, I just want to let you know I saw your message, and I want to give it the critical thought it deserves. I'll look at this tomorrow. Give back the gift of time at the end and beginning of fiscal quarters. Time is money. Show them that you respect it. Read company-wide NPS surveys and send specific stakeholder submissions they might find interesting. Again, this is just looking out for information that they would think is valuable. So these are 16 examples. This is just scratching the surface. All right, everyone take their finger, point in the air, point it towards you. It is not all about you, y'all. It is so much bigger than that. The partnerships you have an opportunity to build are on behalf of your whole entire product marketing organization. You can change the perception not just of what it looks like to partner with you, but product marketing. You speak in terms of we and as product marketing versus I. I've actually developed a school of thought that I think I is almost a bad word in organizations unless you really have to establish that strong position that you have on a specific topic. Create opportunities to plug in your teammates. Understand what their areas of focus are. Enable them to build these partnerships as well. And understand the bigger picture of the organization so you can be an ambassador of the company's goals and prioritize decisions that align with that in your day-to-day and initiatives. Again, your product marketing team and your organization, it is not all about you. Next 30, 60, and 90 days, what can you do? You can stretch like this, okay? But you could also reach out to stakeholders. You could ask questions, listen, identify trends, and develop a plan of action. Again, y'all, this is not rocket science, but I promise you, it works. So at a tactical level, create a listening session questionnaire. This is just a list of questions that you are going to ask the stakeholders that you meet with. Identify 3 relevant managers, okay? Middle level if you're in larger organizations. you're going to meet with them, you're going to ask them the questions, and then you're going to ask them for time with 2 of their team members. And then you're going to compile all the information into insights. You're going to identify the trends and develop a plan of action. You're going to provide a readout to your manager and your team, and then execute. Y'all build the plan, execute the plan, recalibrate the plan. Who here is surprised about how simple this is? No one? Okay, who's going to do it? Because I'm telling you, it takes time, but it's worth it. So indicators that you're on the right track. Okay, in summary, cross-functional stakeholders, they will be knocking at your door and your team's door to partner. That's when you know you're on the right track. You're going to have a feeling of connectedness to stakeholders. You're going to be receiving an increased number of questions from stakeholders. You'll be asked to join more strategic discussions. You'll be able to articulate what's at the top of mind for teams. Your team as a whole is going to be invited to contribute more, and you will, and your team will, be receiving praise cross-functionally for your partnership. Okay, who feels like this a little bit? It's okay, safe space. Yeah, okay. If there's anything that you could take away, I know we've talked through a lot today, it is the following. Unstoppable partnerships are anchored in trust and your ability to deliver the high-impact results that your stakeholders are counting on you to deliver. Think of partnerships like any other relationship. Y'all, if you're listening to all of those key components, that applies to friendships, your romantic relationships, professional, like all your relationships. If you apply these learnings, they will benefit. Focus on how to help your stakeholders win, and you will win. Build partnerships on behalf of your whole entire product marketing organization, not just yourself. And prevent dropping the ball at all costs. This is always top of mind, day to day. Every little thing that comes into my orbit, I think of it as a ball that I don't want to drop. And then last, building unstoppable relationships doesn't scale. These are people, this is trust, it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes a number of at-bats to show that you can really be the partner that they can count on. That's it. If you have any questions, if you want to connect, geek out, if you're wondering how fast actually I was going in that skiing photo, connect with me on LinkedIn. I hope the QR code works. It should. And thank you.
Pause, wait, hold the clap. Q&A time. Then you can clap, okay? Unless you want to give him 2 claps, because the GIF game, quite strong, yes?
Thank you.
Okay, so a few questions. I'll group them into different categories, but one thing to note is I feel like we're in all different industries, so how our organizations look like internally varies from the person you're sitting to your left on your right. But in your experience, Brandon, for example, what stakeholders are most important for product marketing to prioritize? And then let's start with that one.
Yeah,
also, explain what stakeholders are. Do you mean departments, VPs, CEOs, owners, or is it more like the functional owners?
I think it's all of them. I think that stakeholders are any people that you need to work with in an organization to accomplish a goal. In terms of what stakeholders are most important for product marketing to prioritize, I think you need to ask yourself, what is your goal? And who do you need to work with to accomplish that goal? I think that in a go-to-market scenario, we're working with all sorts of different departments. We're working with product, we're working with customer success, working with sales and services and enablement, the list goes on. So I think that it goes back to understanding what do you actually need to deliver, what stakeholders you need to partner with. There isn't, product is more important than sales and sales is more important than customer success. They're all important. and you need to prioritize them accordingly and go back to the sequencing element of the go-to-market process.
Okay, who here has a concern around swim lanes in their organization? Just a few hands. Where y'all work? Can I come? Kidding, I love where I work. But also, how do you navigate ownership when there is an agreement on a single owner? Or how do you nurture partnerships where the need is potentially one directional, where it's something that is critical to product marketing, but less so as a priority for customer success or product management or insert team of name here?
So the first part of that question is, how do you overcome the challenge where there is not necessarily a single owner?
What if sellers are like, I want to make a pitch deck, look at my pretty slides, and then you see them and you're horrified.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sellers aren't pitch deck. Sorry? Yeah, no, thank you for feeling that. It's rough. Or sometimes product managers are like, I could do marketing. Look at these buzzwords I threw in here and this value prop that makes no sense and doesn't explain what the product does, as an example. But that.
Yeah. I think that you need to understand how you can help them win. Like, it goes back to what are they motivated by, right? If it's sellers using slides where their content's not working, you need to show up and help them understand the value of the slides that you're presenting. If it's product that wants to go ahead and do marketing, you need to understand how they could use their time elsewhere to drive better impact to align with what they're measured on, maybe adoption, and how you could use your expertise to go ahead and drive success in the area they're trying to compensate for.
Okay, there's so many good questions, but last question, and I'll reference TikTok. And again, if I say anything where I'm like, I read this in the New York, I didn't. It was on TikTok, and I'm not really ashamed about it. So for example, on TikTok, if you guys, or Instagram Reels, if you like news 3 weeks later, no offense. On TikTok, if you ever see Lo Whaley or like Corporate Natalie, they have these really great accounts on navigating these complex cross-functional relationships. And the Lo Whaley one, for example, she's always like, how do you say this in corporate? Like stuff that you want to say that is like really rude, but you need to say it politely. So for this question, damn it, Slido keeps moving things around. Hold on, I'll find it again. It was here. Look up TikTok while I'm finding it. Ugh. Okay, because you guys upvote so it moves. Okay, it's fine. Okay, it's cool. So when that happens, what is your advice on teams that want to do product marketing work or don't see value in your work? How do you communicate? What are some hot Brandon tips on, like, hey, let's do this together or drive value in terms of how you'd communicate that politely to be excited about their goal, but also your goals, and you can create that relationship?
That's a great question. It actually goes back to one of the half question I didn't answer in the last question, which is how do you navigate ownership when there isn't a single stakeholder? RACI, responsible, accountable, consultant informed, these responsibility matrices take a lot of the ambiguity out of who should do what. So there can be multiple responsible stakeholders on a specific task or deliverable. Someone needs to be accountable. It's much easier to have alignment on multiple contributors and then be able to vote towards a specific accountable stakeholder. Can you repeat that second question?
Damn it, I have to find it again. This thing keeps moving when you guys vote, which is exciting, but now I don't remember which one it was. But like, what would you be your advice? Let's say you have, I don't know, this never happened to me, but like a product management team that isn't particularly great at communicating about what like a feature or a function actually does, yet they're like, I know how to market it, but they don't believe or want to work with product marketing. Or on the flip side, you have sellers that are planning their GTM motions without considering, let's say, buyers' personas or understanding value or the pain points of what those target enterprises are looking at. How would you get them to align when they seem intent on being self-sufficient?
You have to go back to the beginning with them and bring them into the go-to-market process. Like, if that's happening, you're not partnering with your stakeholders closely enough, early enough. So go back, get them involved in the go-to-market process, especially revenue stakeholders. Let them have a vote in what gets created, and then create a champion within those departments, right? Have a DVP as a part of your core team that can go and advocate for why sellers should go ahead and take specific action. It's a lot easier for them to believe one of their own than it is someone from product marketing.
And that answer also applies to the last question on the screen, which is behind me. So 2 birds, 1 stone. Okay, now we can clap.
Thank you.